And welcome to the broadcast.
And we're actually pre-recorded this time.
Yes.
Because we're running all over the planet again.
Again.
Yes.
Still?
Continuing thereof.
Yes.
The planet speeds at a certain amount of spin, and so we have to run fast to keep up with it, right? That's what we're doing, right?
That explains so very much.
Yes.
No wonder I'm tired.
Oh my God, so I'm exhausted for a reason. Although we seem to start there all the time, that we're exhausted. But
We're doing it constantly. And it's one of the things,
I think you get to a point in your life and you're tired more than you're not tired. At least if you're being active and productive and doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And it just isn't always physical stuff either. Because the mental does. I've had a Monday at the day job, okay? So I'm like, I didn't do any physical activity. Normally I try to get on the treadmill. Mm-hmm. And today I couldn't leave my usual setup. I was like anchored to the desk all day. Yeah. And I'm tired.
I had a week of Mondays last week.
I know.
Which resulted in an all-day Sunday, all weekend.
Yeah. Well, I got a message at 5 o'clock yesterday that ended up with me being up until 3 o'clock this morning, getting stuff fixed. And then...
Yes. Do you want to talk about that?
We'll talk about
it. First, though, since, we're using StreamYard and some people may be new to us, we probably should actually introduce who we are.
That.
We never do that.
We never do that. Everybody knows who we are.
But if you're only listening to us on a podcast, it's not obvious who we are. So,
first mom of the apocalypse, middle mom of the apocalypse.
No, I'm elder.
I'm elder mom.
I'm Jonna the elder mom. White hair.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Cedar. I'm the middle mom.
Red hair.
Mm-hmm.
When it's not tied back in Modi's hand.
Courtney, I'm the youngest mom by a couple years. Not much, right? Right.
Thank you, dear.
That's okay. We're good. So it's fine.
I have brown hair, but the silver's coming in slowly.
Darn it. I still don't have any. I've earned my white hairs.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. Mine's doing the Bride of Frankenstein thing, and I'm okay with that.
So these days we're gonna have to get the Paul Mitchell spray that keeps your hair perfectly stiff and do the Bride of Frankenstein hair on you. Mm-hmm. And that'd be great fun.
I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yes,
that'd just be very me.
Mm-hmm.
So
yes, just be careful when you turn around because you can put people's eyes out with that. Years and years and years ago, in the dark ages of time, before there was photographic evidence, and there isn't, thank you very much, I used to use egg whites and a vacuum cleaner to get spikes when I was doing my hair. I know it sounds weird, and there are no pictures, thank God. I had a mohawk, and it was purple, and I would do purple spikes with egg white and vacuum cleaner. So, and you could put people's eyes out with those things.
Well, also, that's a lot of work.
Not really. It's pretty fast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the vacuum cleaner dries the egg white as you're doing it. So
yeah, I knew egg white was something that was used in some of the more interesting hairstyles.
Yes, and then you cover with Aquanet when you're done.
Yeah.
So
there was a time in my life, and there is no evidence. My hair was waist length, and I put it up with Elmer's glue.
Oh.
My hair was once...
That was a 3-day washout.
Mm-hmm.
So
my hair has been waist length more than once, and I have never put it up with anything other than hairpins.
Okay, so how many of us have put Elmer's glue all over our hand and then peeled it off together?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Because it's like, oh, that's really cool.
Ooh, is it cool? It's peeling off my
Also,
head.
there's fingerprints in it.
You can fake blisters with those too if you're really careful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so one of the things, the classes that I've taken is some pretty interesting special effects makeup.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've actually been taught both moulage, which is the emergency medicine where they make you up as if you're injured, and I've been taught the kind that's used more for like zombies and fake wounds and stuff. And Elmer's glue, latex, little bits of plastic that look like broken glass. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. We made a horror movie in high school, and I got to do all these special effects.
Mm-hmm.
And being as we were using the camera at the time,
And now that we're talking about all sorts of strange and bizarre things, it's a good time to mention our not sponsor.
Yes, we do not have a
It's also
sponsor.
strange and
It's
bizarre.
so strange and bizarre. We're not sponsored by our friend Jim, who makes really kind of very interesting, fun, and very silly T-shirts. And this is his URL. If you can read that.
We'll have a link.
We'll
in
put a
the
link.
description thing so you can actually
Yes.
read that.
Yes, this is
And there will be a better card.
yeah, we're gonna make a better card.
Soon.
But this is his T-shirt store is Among the Leaves Tees, and he's got some very very silly ones which I like, and some awful puns which I don't, and some scientific ones that are fascinating
And
as well.
he's a dog lover, so there's quite a few dog ones.
There's quite a few dog ones because Obi is marvelous.
Yes, we all love Obi.
We love Obi the dog. So thank you for your not sponsorship. So
yeah, no, strange, bizarre. It has been. We've had a lot of strange and bizarre.
Some things we did for fun, some things we did for pay, and some
we
things we
do
would have
strange and
done for
bizarre
pay.
things for pay. So,
I do strange and bizarre things for fun and pay. So
Right? Like I got paid, and I would have done it for fun.
I got paid for doing a boob lift on a bodysuit. So
I love that.
yes, a
I
fake
have been
bodysuit.
painted. I have been paid for painting boobs.
Yeah, I mean, so
Right.
right. What did you do?
Let me put it this way: Bike Week, Laconia, New Hampshire, 250,000 drunk bikers. Trust me, there were boobs.
There were boobs.
There
Yeah.
were boobs.
On display.
You might not actually want to see the boobs, but there were boobs.
Yes, we had a large woman suit. I don't refer to them as fat suits, but it was a plush woman suit who was a little saggy.
Plush woman sounds.
A
I like
plush woman
plush
suit.
woman.
She was a satin covered down comforter. She just needed a boob lift, so I gave her a boob lift. So it was
We
fun.
all have our talents.
And you've
Sort
been,
of defines our week. So
and you've been spending this week making me custom slings.
yes,
So
not slings and arrows of misfortune, but just slings. So
Yes.
so because
Yes.
misfortune seems to be passing us by more.
Yes.
Because we're finding solutions to misfortune. Would you like to talk about your adventure?
Oh my God.
Ongoing.
Ongoing adventure.
Well, I mean, in terms of the books,
The books.
new
Right.
discovery.
Oh my God. Okay. So Amazon instituted a thing. Now they have been. So I will preface this with there has been an ongoing fight of keeping inappropriate things out of children's and young adult spaces,
Mhm.
right? Which is part of why I get so annoyed at people putting sex in young adult books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because ongoing issues with this.
Oh yeah.
Like when Amazon first started allowing at the very beginning of KDP and Amazon allowing people to upload their own stuff, there would be pony playbooks in with My Little Pony.
Not okay.
Because it's the same.
Well, yeah, but it's
Yeah.
still not okay.
Keywords. Right.
So this has been an ongoing issue for as long as I've been doing this, which is
Mhm.
we're coming 12, 14 years now.
Yeah.
But they added something a few months ago. The post I saw said 4 or 5 months ago.
Mhm.
And looking at my sales, yeah, that's about right. Because Amazon's been doing a whole bunch of back end stuff, asking if you're using AI for anything.
Right. Right.
Asking if it's making you choose the age group for some of your stuff. And they added a question. Now when they did all the AI stuff, and then when they updated all the keywords and all that, I went through and changed everything that needed to be changed.
Right.
Now that was a 2-week long process.
Mm-hmm.
But I could do it in fits and starts because most of I was going and clicking ticky boxes and getting it fixed and set up. This I think was an outgrowth of that because they changed the wording on the AI question and then added more stuff to put in. Because when they first put it out, it was just, did you use AI on this? And that's like,
yeah. They've definitely refined that quite a lot.
Yeah.
We can talk about that when we get done with that.
Right. But this was in addition to this, which was, is there sexually explicit materials on your cover or your title? That's the question that they're asking.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, is there sexually explicit things in your book? The question is, are there sexually explicit images in your on your cover or your title?
Mm-hmm.
And all of my books and several other, and there was I remember the debate going around for people saying, do I need to let them know that it's an adult book, or do I need to let them, what should I pick? I remember that debate going around.
Right.
But it didn't talk about this question.
Yeah.
It was, I noticed in passing that, okay, I'm a romance. I'm not for under 18, so everything they do is 18 plus.
Right.
Because for a very long time, it was possible to put yourself in the adult dungeon.
Mhm.
And you could not the only way you could find out if you were in the adult dungeon is by doing a search on Amazon for your title. And if it came up in the regular search, you were fine. But if it didn't come up in the regular search and you had to put you had to turn save search off, you were in the adult dungeon.
Right. Right.
Which is not a dungeon to play in. It's one where you're stuck in the basement and nobody's going to find your book.
They have sequestered you off, and you will never be seen by the general public ever. And you will also not be seen by your actual audience ever. Like they have to have a direct link to go find your book. And so that debate has been going on for years. And I'm like, okay, so I know how to do this. And when I was going through and taking all my stuff for the keywords and categories, I'm like, okay, fine. And didn't think anything of it. They added a question 4 or 5 months ago of the sexually explicit on your cover or in your title. Right. And went through and auto-filled the question for me and for a lot of other romance authors. I have not seen it on any other genre where it was auto-filled yes.
Yeah, I'm trying to think because I've been in and messed with a bunch of my stuff recently, and I mean, I had seen the question, but it was one of those that is just for me is an automatic tick no because it's not pertinent to what I write. But I also, until I started doing the Lily Begley stories, I should go check Farmhand.
You should.
Yeah. Because that's the only other romance specific book that I think I have out there.
Yeah.
So pretty much your entire catalog.
My entire catalog got clicked yes and removed from the general search. And was suppressed in. So they. So if you have bought romance books in the past, you'll be able to find it, kind of.
Yeah.
But you're only going to see my sponsored ads.
Yeah. Which means when your sales dropped off 4 or 5 months ago and you kept going, what in the world?
Yeah, like what the heck happened?
Rumi is like, I don't know, my sales are awful. I don't know what's going on. And now we know.
It's like, oh crap. And I knew that it had been a while since I published a book.
Yeah.
And I knew that I had diluted my brand.
Yeah, but you know what? That much of a drop off.
That should have been my first clue, but I was not focused on it.
You had other things going on.
Yeah,
we had like life busy. And stuff happening, and stress, and stress and trauma. So, but still.
Yeah. So Amazon in their infinite wisdom went and clicked all of my stuff yes, and the only people I've said who I've seen who have gone through and checked where the yes has been clicked automatically by Amazon has been romance authors. I don't know that they're targeting romance,
or that's just where they've started,
because
it's the biggest category. So, which would make sense. But still, but I know that they're having a lot of bot issues with the really interesting punctuation titles in the fantasy section.
I'm wondering if this is.
It might be in response to that.
I'm wondering if that's a response to this. Yeah. Which is an interesting way
of all of you guys.
Which is an interesting way of doing it. And I knew when they addressed it, it was going to damage everybody. But I didn't realize it was going to be quite everybody.
Yeah.
So I've been. So Mike sent me a friend of his posts about it, and I went and looked, and I'm like, oh shit, I should check.
Yeah.
So I went and did that, and now I had planned on doing some upgrades on my main series. Anyway.
Yeah.
Cedar had given me some new covers, so
it's just time to freshen everything up.
I don't know how well we'll be able to get this up onto the thing, but this is the actual wording of. It's probably not going to focus on it.
Okay. I can do a screenshot and
we can do a screenshot.
There it goes. It focused.
Yeah,
but a lot of reflection. So they and by the way, this is farmhand, and neither yes nor no is ticked.
So it hasn't taken it either.
It's just
So if it's not ticked at
empty
all, isn't
space.
even showing up. So
farmhand is because I know that because of the Sumeyer trilogy.
oh, okay.
So I know what was showing up when you were searching for Lelania Begley.
Mhm.
So I know it was searching
Mhm.
and it was showing up, but also that book is 7-8 years old.
Yeah.
So
No, it's
yeah.
Large companies and their algorithms when you're trying to sell stuff online. Because eBay went through and did something very similar with there was a certain when the post office changed from first class to Grand Advantage,
Mhm.
they suddenly stopped showing all of your postings that had first class postage on it. If you've got 2,000,
That takes some
That's
time to go to
bad.
fix. Yeah.
and it's hard to sort them. There's no way to sort by postage
Mhm.
either. So
Yeah.
similar kind of things drop off the hill, you know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and I mean, it sucks. I mean, I can see why
Mhm.
Amazon has to do stuff like this because there's legal issues.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And it would cost them a hell of a lot
but
in
how hard would it be?
legal stuff.
They've got your email. They could send it to every. I mean, it's way too simple to notify every account. Or
Mhm.
so.
Yeah. No, and I get I get a bunch of KDP emails every year or every month, and there was never
Nothing.
please go check your uploads.
Yeah.
And
Anywhere.
I know I have gotten emails in the past from them saying that we're implementing a change. I think I got an email about the categories. I mean, I kind of knew about it already, but I think I
Yeah.
actually got an email saying this is what we're doing.
Yeah. But
you
there
have
was
to
no
go in.
explanation on this at all.
Right.
And it was yeah, it's a lot of work, and I was going to slow roll out the new covers
Yeah.
of, hey, here's a new one for this one, here's a new one for this one, just kind of
yeah.
do all that. And
Not anymore.
not anymore since I'm in there and I'm updating stuff,
Just do
because
it. Yeah.
I'm just doing it. So I've gone through and pulled out a bunch more typos. I've updated all my back matter. I've updated, like, they're all stuff that I like. Oh, this was because I moved from I was using 3 different programs from the time I started it to the so what I'm doing now. I got it all uniform. And getting it all ready. And I went through and looked, and I had them all at one point on expanded distribution. So this is another change I'm making. Because I have my covert covers that are drafted digital only right now, but available everywhere.
Yeah.
Amazon, there's only 2 places where you can do expanded distribution now. They're not supporting it anywhere outside the US or the UK.
Oh, well, that's not helpful.
Which means that, which also explains why some of my sales have gone down a lot on my German and my French editions. So those are all also all moving over to drafted digital. Not moving over, but being added to
in addition.
drafted digital.
Yeah, it's becoming an addition. So
I think, I mean, and this gets more and more difficult the more catalog that you have as a bookseller. But I think the moral of it is basically that you have to stay on top of what your publishing page looks like on the back end and the KDP end. And I think that's something that I have trouble doing if I'm not doing a rapid publishing cadence. Recently, the last 6 months or so, I have been focused on putting something out every month, even if it's a standalone short story. And because of that, I've been in there and tinkering under the hood and aware when new weird things popped up.
Right.
But you also then have to go back and update older titles.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think for some standalone shorts that I published 10 years ago, I'm probably going to unpublish them.
That's actually my next step. Is I'm going through. The Alien Brides obviously gets the makeover and the re-release.
Right.
I have several other things that I think I'm going to pull down the shorts, because I have my evil sorceress in training. It's 5 standalone short stories that are actually all connected.
Mhm.
And the collection of all of them together. I think I'm going to take down the 5
Yeah.
and just leave the collection
Yeah, that
because
makes
it's been
sense.
out long enough,
Yeah.
and I can just do a new cover on it and
And
put it
freshen it
together.
all up and set
Yeah.
it out again. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that's like that where I'm going to go through, and if I've got 10 short stories in kind of a similar genre, take all those down and put them up in their own collection.
Mhm.
Which was my intent in the first place,
Mhm.
but I got a little busy.
Got nothing going on. I mean, I'm busy folks. We don't do anything.
Yeah, I'm looking at the KDP thing here and the category update.
Mhm.
We all knew about that. In order to change the categories, it has a little red box with an exclamation point. You must answer the adult only content question above in order to choose new categories.
Mhm.
So they did, but I don't know that they did. Well, here's the thing. I don't know that they did this at first.
Mhm.
I'm
Yeah.
guessing that this is their attempt at a fix to make sure that people caught that they had to answer that adult only question.
Like, because I was talking to, I was doing a Amazon ads panel at LibertyCon.
Mhm.
They blur.
They
so-
blur. And I was talking to Chris Kennedy, and I'm like, because they had just rolled out the new categories.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Right.
and I'd gone through and updated all the categories on my books,
Mhm.
and that
Mhm.
question wasn't there when I was doing that.
Right,
Liberty
and
Con.
that's why
So,
I'm thinking that
yeah.
this might actually be a wait, stop.
It
Right.
may
Make sure
also
you
have
did
been
that.
Mhm.
big publishers may have gone to them and gone, what?
What? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Like
because
WTF.
Athon went and had a meeting with Amazon because they're big enough to have their own rep,
Mm-hmm.
and he
Mhm.
had said something, I think not on the live stream, but when he was talking with them about
Mhm.
how they had a category issue,
Mm-hmm.
and then he had to go meet with the Amazon rep for his company. Wouldn't that be nice? Goals.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
but it was something
Mhm.
that was an issue.
Yeah.
So
Well, I think one of the things that you can kind of pinpoint where they started mucking with stuff, because somebody who I'd given them new categories and new keywords to help them
yeah.
update their backlist. I said, hey, you might want to go check at this, and it's been they have been down for the count for 8 weeks, and probably a little longer than that. She said, I think I wouldn't make these changes, and she because I know I wouldn't make these changes, and they had defaulted back to the stuff that she'd had.
Oh,
right.
So like this was somebody was messing around in the background and got rid of all
the
changes.
the changes.
Yeah. Which happens.
Talking about categories, there was a K-Lytics email today, which I'm sure you saw.
Second chance romance. Yeah.
Okay, first of all, I love second chance romance as a concept, and I definitely have got to write that because speaking as a woman who is living hers.
Well, yeah. Some of us have lived a second chance romance for sure.
So I love the concept of not all romance being about first love and then happily ever after for the rest of your life, because it's not always how it works.
Yeah.
No.
But Alex in this thing says there are 106 Kindle categories in the romance genre, and there are still. He thinks there's going to be more. It's what I'm reading there because there's a bunch of tropes.
Well, did you see this of the tropes he calls out?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, friends to lovers, forbidden love, opposites attract, or fake marriage age gap dragon shifter romance. Okay, that was a little smiley face after it.
I'd say that's really specific. However,
Very specific.
I can name 5 authors who have done that story.
Oh.
Not one author's done 5 stories. 5 separate authors who have done that story.
That story.
And I love it. I like dragon shifters are just like my jam.
They're a thing.
They are a thing.
I was so excited. I'm like, they're doing dragon shit. I can read about dragons. Just call me Donkey. It's okay.
It is. I mean, it's fun because Amazon's annoying on one hand, and on the other hand, they do these awesome things for us. I mean, as a reader and a writer, the fact that they've broken it out into 106 romance categories, allows the reader to find the dragon shifter romance she really craves. And it allows the writer to put her book right in front of
Is there
her
a
dragon-loving reader.
Is there a category for Viking?
Angel Vikings.
Angel Viking vampires.
Probably not.
with names you can say when you're throwing
Okay,
up.
so not specifically, but there is in fact romance Viking, and there's in fact romance metaphysical, and
I
one
know,
of the
yes, I know.
subcategories of romance is angels and demons.
Mhm.
So like we could totally like find that. But yeah, that was
Yeah, I'm not going to mess with the categories right now, but
I'm done. Because her ass can apparently sit down all by itself. So
yeah, but it's fun, and one of the ways
it is fun.
you know, and if
It is
you're
fun.
looking for something specific,
You
you can
find
get
it.
really specific.
Yeah.
And part of the problem that I love, like I dislike how much of a pain in the ass it is, but I'm so glad that they're actually able to break out the different niches.
Yes.
Because part of the problem was you would get 5 different books that were wildly different in the same category.
Yeah.
right.
And so and whatever was really big at the time, that was all you would find.
Yeah.
And they're all in the same category. So now they've broken out a bunch of the other ones.
It's like when I first started, I put Pixie Noir into urban fantasy because
Mhm.
there wasn't
Where
really
else?
another
Yeah.
good choice, even though it really wasn't all that urban. But it was a contemporary fantasy, and that, I mean, contemporary fantasy wasn't even a choice back then,
Mhm.
or I would have put it in that. Which wasn't also was not always a good fit, but hey, it was close-ish. But that was the options a decade ago.
Mhm.
And now I can go back and I could put it into some very specific little niche, and definitely not into urban fantasy, because urban fantasy is so broad.
Right.
So your book gets lost if you put it in one of those huge buckets,
Yeah.
and nobody's going to dig around for it. And that,
Yeah.
you want it in the nice little niches to put it in front of the reader that really wants it.
Well, that's what, like with giant freaking robots, in the tie-in category.
Right.
Which a lot of our authors were like, "Why are we in the TV tie-in
We
category?"
should absolutely be in the media tie-in.
Media tie-in and Halo's dropping something. What are people going to be looking for?
Right.
Brilliant on your part. Thank you.
Yes.
But yeah, it's like being able to find that. So it seems to me like every quarter or so, Amazon is doing something odd.
Yeah.
Which means every quarter or so, you should at least every quarter, you should be in your back end of the
And
KP looking
Yep.
and checking all of your books. So you can just schedule it every quarter. Just spend a day checking out all your books, all your categories, all your questions, and making sure everything's right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and watching your sales reports, because there's people like, oh my god, I had a drop off on Tuesday, and I'm like, yeah, nobody buys books on Tuesday. Like, don't chill out about that.
no, but if you have 3 weeks of it,
Right. You
Right.
wanna
you
look
have a
at-
3-week drop off. Something's going on.
Yeah.
Or you need to stick that on your Facebook page or your newsletter, going, "Hey guys, remember this?"
Right.
Yeah.
So
And there's
reporting is daily.
Mhm.
So a day is a single data point. You cannot track day by day.
No.
You start to see your trend lines when you look at monthly.
Yes.
And
So 3 months is pretty good.
a 3 months, the 90-day report that Amazon allows for you gives you a good trend line.
Yep.
That's where you should be looking at
Yeah.
if you're looking at your reads, your orders, the overall royalties, whatever you want to break it out, because Amazon now, I mean, sometimes I miss the old Amazon report thing, but the way they have it broken out now is very visual,
Yeah.
but not quite as granular.
Yeah,
So,
and it's
and not as
Yeah.
customizable in some ways.
it's not, and they kept some of the old stuff, but you have to know how to get to it,
Yeah.
and it's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I just generally don't, because I'm tracking much larger trend lines. So I'm not looking at the short term trend lines, because that's not where my writing goals are. So
Yeah, and there's things, so like there's a known 30-day drop off.
right.
And a known
Yeah.
60-day. Like
Mhm.
like we know that these exist
Yes.
because you lose your boost
Yeah.
after a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Which is why we recommend having
Another one to come out
Yes.
about a month later.
like
Yep.
and And it is really true. Like the best thing that sells your last book is your next book.
Mhm.
Because when you buy a book, Amazon will recommend the other ones.
Yeah. We do that with every Rector Press book that goes out. Our backlist goes whoop, whoop, whoop. You know?
And with the groundskeeper stories, I wrote the first one, and then like 2 years later, I released number 2, and a month later, number 3, and all of a sudden, whoop, all of them.
Yep.
They just pulled the first one right up with them, and so that was one of those of okay, that the backlist is definitely a thing, but you always have to be releasing.
Yeah.
Really.
Well, I have a couple of, before I did the Alien Bride series, I did a couple of short sci-fi romance, like super short ones. Like I think they were maybe 5,000-6,000 words. And I can tell when someone gets to the end of my series because I get sales on those.
Yeah.
Like you're looking for one. I appreciate people want more of those, and they go for them.
Well, when we go in and we deal with the back end, I've only got, I don't know, 7-8 dozen titles out there. You have hundreds.
200.
Right.
Yes.
So with you, with your older stuff, would it make sense to pull them down, bundle them as collections, and re-release them?
Yeah, I think that's actually going to be part of the goal for the next couple of months because
Well, that gives you a release tempo, first of all.
I can do those as I get ready, as I prep the next book for release, which is actually very close to being done. And I had a thought, which will likely come out with Taco Tuesday, not this week, possibly next week.
Yeah.
Because in going through and getting everything prepped to go back up, I'm reading myself back into the world, which is actually really nice. I'm like, oh yeah, I dropped this clue 4 books ago, and I kind of wrapped it up here, but like I could do so much more with this, and I'd intended to pull it forward. But there's little bits here and there that I could, because I did the dumbest sushi story, and because I did, I've sushi yesterday was amazing.
Yes, it was very good when it got home to me.
That's
So
excellent.
And it made it home. I didn't eat it on the way.
Good.
not that she wasn't tempted. Much
Really
tempted, very tempted.
But I'm doing stuff like that, and I can do. There's a couple of short stories I was thinking about doing, covering some of the history of the Orvacs and the Chalians, because I've got centuries of warfare and a falling empire, and histories that I'm like, you know what? There are 4 different timelines, and part of that's because I wasn't taking notes and put the wrong years in. But I'm going to use that.
You should discover when you go back and look.
Like, oh crap! I put the wrong years in for this, and I changed the Empress's name twice.
Oops.
Okay, so changing royalty's name actually can be explained away pretty easily because that was a thing. When you took on new titles, you wound up with a new name. So
God, that's hell on all your stationery. So,
but it's funny because you
and your entire army when the queen dies.
So
So
I have to get all new uniforms or new patches.
we just witnessed all that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's astonishing how much gold work you could not buy because it was all taken
Oh
up.
my god.
Yeah, little odd things that happen in the market because of death. So
Yeah, but there's stuff that I've put in that I'm like, okay, I can pull like, and it's someone went back through and changed history. Why did they do that? And I've gone through and explained some of it and pulled some of it forward. But there's so much more I could go through and do. I could do historical stories of the courtship of the Empress, and
so that's kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I could do that. So.
and I think a lot of them will come out for Taco Tuesday. There's a couple that would
Getting
actually
a stack of ideas while you're doing this. This is great.
Yeah.
So I'm
There's
I'm
a silver lining.
there is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm tempted to put the Cowboy Chemist in one of our space cowboy anthologies. I don't know exactly if it'll work, but he's a space cowboy. He's a rancher, and who Anyway, so like his whole his whole backstory, like I knew exactly what I was doing, but nobody caught it. So he's from Space Texas.
Ow. Just ow.
Well, he mentioned like cowboy diplomacy, and nobody caught me.
Ah. Okay.
I translated a direct quote from James Kirk. Anyway, because I have fun with these, and the whole point is to have fun.
Well, see,
Yeah.
so you're getting to revisit old friends.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
I miss them.
Finding the good spot in the middle of what the hell was I thinking?
like, oh my god, why did I do that? Why did I call him that? It is impossible to remember how to spell it.
When your autocorrect sees it so many times that it finally starts doing it for you. So
I add to dictionary.
I
I will sit with a post-it note on my monitor with the name of my two main characters, because the number of times I've written books and changed names halfway through and forgot.
Oops.
So now I put the main character
What's
on
she
my
talking
monitor.
about now? How to make our copyright vendor lose her mind. So
And the fact that I got through 2 beta readers that one time was kind of impressive because they didn't notice.
Things to not do when you're tired.
Right. There's a lot of things you should not do when you're tired.
Your brain tends to autofill patterns.
Yes.
Yes, it does. So
You see what you expect to see.
Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where when I've done all, which part of why when I do the layout for the anthologies, I put it up and I go, okay, I need at least one other person to go and check
another
this
set of eyes. Really
and
matters.
make sure I put everybody's name on things.
Mhm.
That the name I put on it matches the contract they signed.
Yes.
That
But they haven't changed something at the last minute in an email that came in 3 weeks after contracts. So,
Right.
Yeah.
and like little stuff like that.
Which, by the way, we had one of those this morning. I haven't told you about it yet. So you're not working on that book
I'm
yet.
not working
so
on
don't
the
worry
book
about
yet.
it yet.
We're good. We're good.
So,
but there was one time when I finished everything and I had the copyrights up there and I was doing the copyright page and I had the titles of all the stories in the copyright page and I had the date of the stories on all the copyright page and I had insert author name here. And I'm like, I finished it, I put it up, I looked at it the next day, I'm like, that's not right. I should fix
unless,
that.
of course, they are somebody whose name is insert author name here.
No, I will email them and say, you may not have this pen.
No.
No.
No, the answer is no.
If your name is Noah Ward, I will hurt you.
Oh, yes.
I don't threaten people lightly. I do usually do it in jest.
Mhm.
But that one,
We're not going here.
I will buy the plane ticket and come and hurt
We
you.
will not buy your story.
No.
Story ends. The end, right there. Full stop. So, ain't happening. I have to admit, sometimes a story or two has come in and I've gone, oh, yeah, no. You just take it back. It's like, nope, back out the door.
Yeah.
So, because no.
Mm-hmm.
This is, not going there.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to reject a story. Sometimes it's not.
No. Sometimes the hardest part is being nice about it.
There are ways to just do it very bland, and that was my approach when I had to do any kind of rejection. Was not necessarily to be at all personal about it. It just it did not fit the needs of the anthology or whatever I was editing at the time. And
send back a note that says nothing but no.
I've had a statement all by itself.
No.
I've had the ones where I'm like, the response I wanted to send was, "Dear author, who hurt you? Why did you feel the need to inflict this on me?"
I'm sure your mother is very proud of this story.
Who hurt you? Why?
Stop doing, please take it to Kinko's and have it bound for her.
But there's
things we don't do when we're tired.
No, and oh my god,
we're stressed.
I do not, and I have discovered that I do not engage when tired or stressed. I will be direct, and I will tell people, please do not talk to me about this until later.
There's a reason I spend most of my time working alone, because most of the time I am tired and stressed. So it's just safer not to.
There have been conversations over the last few days, in the last few months in general, where if I actually engaged the way my brain wanted to, I would be mean and bitchy.
Mhm.
And I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
No.
So instead I will be direct.
Yeah.
And
And it's
then,
hard sometimes when you're
Yeah.
that tired and stressed and you have a bunch of stuff going on that it kind of leaks around the edges.
Mhm.
Yes.
I know that I'm particularly toxic and not a nice person, and there's this whole separate side of my personality called Mistress Fifi. And yes, there's lots of reasons for that nickname, but in the SCA, my name was Fierga, but my nickname was Fifi. And I was Dame Fierga, but Mistress Fifi. And you never, ever wanted your own personal Fifi moment.
No.
Ever. Because that's when Jonna was all the way out on the edge and was going to explain to you in enormous, painful detail everything that was wrong with you, your parentage, and your entire line of humanity. And you would thank me for it. So, but I just, not a space I like to be. And that was a real indication to me that I should not be out amongst the people because I was too far gone.
I have had moments like that. I have had moments where I got very snappy with someone and pissed them off, and they will never forgive me for that. We've managed to come to a point where we can exist in the same space, but it was a badly phrased thing, and I responded to it without realizing that it was just poor phrasing and not a deliberate slap at a community I happen to be very fond of. So, I mean, I think and I have moments where I've come to realize now where I'm just like, okay, I'm not in a headspace to be around people.
Yeah.
Or online.
Or by making decisions. So,
yeah.
I mean, because I know when I'm extremely tired, which has been the majority of the last 2 years, that I really should not be making those. I need to step back. I need to rest enough before I go and do that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, it's like I will occasionally deliberately indulge in retail therapy and go shopping.
Yeah.
Because it's a dopamine hit and it makes me feel better, but I will usually do it with a budget and full acknowledgement of this is where I'm at with the headspace. So I'll take like $20 and head to the thrift store, that kind of thing. Or the used bookstore if there's one accessible. That's always the best. And the other day, I found out late one evening that my ex-husband had passed away about a month before. We have all been completely no contact. My kids had been doing their best to not allow him to know where they were at all, even the state, for years. So there was no way that they could have been notified when he passed. And we kind of found out by accident. And the day after that, I took my happy little butt and trotted around to all the local nurseries and bought myself plants. And as my friend Dorothy put it when I was talking to her about it later, because accountability helps, she's like, it's your victory garden.
Yes.
So this is what I have. I have a victory garden.
I love it.
I have succeeded in life despite efforts to make me not.
Well, who also had made a giant pile of compost, which he's on his way to being. And you were going to grow wonderful things out of it.
Yes,
So,
yes, I am.
So even out of a pile of shit can good things happen.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Well, I'll set myself on a quest where I'm going for one thing. I'm looking for one thing. It has to be the right color and the right size and the right shape. And I'm going to go to 10 different stores until I find it. And if I don't find it, then I'm done. I don't need it. I just want it to look like this specifically. Because I found that at least for me, the hit is as much going and being in the space and searching for something that I specifically want, and not going and buying a thing.
Yeah. I've slowly gotten to the point where that will happen for me too, because it's been in the past. One of my influences as a girl was a woman who was a shopaholic, and was not a hoarder because she would buy stuff and then give it to other people. Which led to other problems, but basically, I would go shopping and buy whatever because whatever, and I've gotten to the point now where I can do the whole go shopping and it's really fun. But if I did 10 stores, I would fall over dead of exhaustion. So
that is actually that is one of the things I actually like to do. It puts me in a space where I'm not usually. It's light color. It's bright colors and lights
It's
and
different.
Yeah.
and looking at what's and I'm seeing what's new. This is actually how I have the clothes that I have, and as many as
Yeah.
what I've got
Yeah.
is I go and do this every few months, and so I know what's there. I know what the prices are. I know what my budget can be. So when I'm actually looking for something very specific, if I know I need this, I have a good idea of where I can go.
Where to go
for
look?
it.
Yeah, who's got it?
But if I'm like I've never seen this before, I'm going to go see if I can find it. Where would be a likely place to start?
Mhm.
And I go and hit different types of stores. Like one of them, I was looking for a cocktail shaker,
No.
and I wanted it in a
Yeah.
specific shape, and I wanted it like,
Yeah.
and I haven't found the one I want yet. I found a couple that are close,
Mhm.
and if we know someone with a laser engraver, I can actually make it work.
Huh.
But but it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, this is what I want, so I'm looking to see what's available
Mhm.
and what I've what I want. So when I actually want to, it's like, okay, I need to actually have this thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know what I'm looking at. I know what's going to take to get that thing.
Yeah.
Whereas at least half of the joy for me is the quest.
Mhm.
It's
Mm.
the looking
Yeah.
for it and the drilling down and acknowledging what I want.
Yeah.
Because if I'm looking for the dopamine hit, you can get a cheap dopamine hit, in which case I'm going to go buy $1 ice cream cone. Or you can get the deeper
Yeah.
dig into your psyche and actually find what you want
Mhm.
and acknowledge what you want, which has actually been something I've had to work on for the last few years.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do anything. What do you do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my son right now, we had this long conversation when he was up here and he was helping me fill the garden bed. And we were talking when we ran out to get some stuff for the project. But he was saying that he's having a real problem right now because he's 18, he's got a good job, and he's got a plan to a certain point.
Mm-hmm.
But his problem is that he literally can do anything.
Yeah.
And
he's
so
paralyzed.
he's trying to figure out what he wants to do most out of all of these plethora of choices.
Mm-hmm.
And I sympathize with that because
Yeah. It's weird because I've done this. I've kind of come full circle on this. So it used to be, when I was stressed and everything, I had like 8 or 9 fabric stores I could wander through.
Mhm.
And I wouldn't necessarily buy fabric, but for when I was from like this big, one of the comfort things for me is I remember being in the grocery cart and running my hands along the bolts of fabric as mom went through and the flip of a pattern book page,
Mhm.
the sound of a pattern book page flipping.
It's so
Because she was so fast. She was like flip. And I was like, what? And I understand it because later I became the flipper through the pattern books of
Yes.
like, not that, not that, not that, not that.
Right.
But I distinctly remember leaning over and putting my hand out for the fabric.
Mhm.
So I would go to fabric stores and I'd feel up the new stuff and feel what was there and like see if I would get inspired by something. For me, that was the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And I would buy fabric, but not to the extent my mother did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I hate clothes shopping because when you sew, it's frustrating.
Mhm.
And
Even
also,
when you don't sew, it's frustrating.
well, it's also I am not a typical size. I am short and I am round.
Right.
I am frustrated because I know how clothes are made. I don't like clothes shopping at all.
Yeah.
And so I've now gone completely the other direction. I will do anything possible to avoid going in a store. I broke down and walked into an Aldi's after 2.5 years of living here, which I got part way into the market store because I had to get past the registers to get to the pharmacy, right? But I hadn't been there until you got sick.
Right.
And actually been inside a grocery store.
And I really appreciate you going in there with me because my God.
But I also find that I find a lot of comfort in antique malls and thrift stores.
Yes. Well, and that's my go-to. I go
there's stories
antiquing.
there. It's full of
Yes.
stories. It's
Yes.
like, oh, remember this? And, oh, that's a cool thing. And the hidden pieces that are tremendously well made, beautiful things
Yes.
that are like little lost treasures of skill and artisanry. That for me, the discovery is
And I
fun.
love buying old books and flipping open the front cover and seeing what's written in there.
Yeah.
Or old cookbooks and suddenly an old recipe flutters out of it that was clipped out of a magazine or a newspaper. And I love that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because exactly it. You wind up with this is someone's story.
There was a life here. There was a story
There's
here.
a little glimpse.
Yeah.
I brought back the Harold McGee book.
Oh
and-
yeah, on food and cooking. Yes.
Right, and the Shakespeare one.
Yeah.
Because I bought myself my own copies.
Oh, excellent! You found a copy of Shakespeare in Love. That's great.
And when
I mean, the Shakespeare Cooking
yeah.
with William Shakespeare.
yeah, Cooking with
Excellent
William
cookbooks.
Shakespeare.
Really
So-
fun.
thrift books is my kryptonite. Because
we
if
haven't
you
even been to the Wichita Falls Library.
I know
Where does
we have to do
store?
that.
we have to find
We
the
have
time.
to go.
I don't know when. I really don't know
It'll have
when.
to be after Pensacola. so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, March sometime.
Uh-huh.
But so I order books on thrift books when I know what I want.
Mhm.
And in this case, I knew what I wanted because you loaned them to me. I looked at them. I'm like, oh yeah, I want to own copies of these. So when I got the Harold McGee one, and there was a piece of paper tucked in the front cover
Oh, fun.
with a note on it that was basically to a name. I really enjoyed having you in my class.
Oh, nice.
I hope you enjoy this book, and and let's keep in touch. And then signed whatever the name was.
Mhm.
The kicker is the note's still in there, and the book looks like it's never been.
Oh, no. So you open one and there's an envelope with money in it because they never bothered to open the book from Grandma.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like, yeah. Right. Yeah. No, but it's
it's and I love antique malls because
yeah, they have a
and
similar
they're
feel.
overwhelming. I mean, Alley Cat is I can do little bits at a time because it's 3 stories. And there's stuff everywhere and it's not well lit and
Mhm. It's a different kind of dopamine hit, though.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very much the treasure hunter. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's honestly one of my one of my favorite things, and I was thinking about this. Is I do a lot of skulls and stuff
Yeah.
because I very much love the memento mori thing.
Oh yeah.
I love finding glimpses of pieces of joy in
Yes.
somebody's life.
Yeah.
I love seeing
Yeah.
stuff that it was obviously
Mhm.
well loved. Like it wasn't bought and put in case. It was
Mhm.
bought and it was on their kitchen table
Mhm.
for 15 years.
Yeah.
You know, I love stuff like that.
Mhm.
Because it's finding
It's Rita.
Yay! Hi Rita.
How you doing?
But finding those moments of joy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like if I can't have my own joy at the moment, because there's times when it's like
Uh-huh.
there is nothing. Like going and ordering food is a net dopamine
She's got a
hit.
box, and she's wearing those fabulous shoes again.
She has the best shoes. But like where feeding myself is a net negative dopamine.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right? Like it takes more effort to make the decision to get food
Mhm.
than I will get from the food.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right?
Oh.
But
I
like
made myself something today because I had to eat, and Sanford and I were off schedules because we usually try to support each other in the food thing. And I had made it, and I ate half of it, left half of it sitting on the table behind my desk. And he walked in and he was talking to a friend on the phone, and he looked down and he's like, I don't know what she made, but that looks awful.
Oh.
Because I didn't feel like first of all, I was working and I was flat out, so it was whatever I could just throw together as quickly as possible. But yeah, the net negative, you don't feel like eating, so you either
Mhm.
don't eat or you eat something that looks awful
mhm.
because
Although I've found that Taste of China is I come in and he goes, so what do you want? And I'm like, food. And then he decides what I'm having that day.
it's
And that is
delightful.
the best thing ever.
I
Yeah.
had
And
a
like,
bartender
what's
like that.
new?
I could just walk in the door and he knew which cocktail to make me.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that is awesome.
It was
It
just
is awesome and awesome sauce. So.
it removes the decision making from that process, so I can actually like I know that I will enjoy everything he puts in front of me,
Mhm.
and it takes less burden on.
Sorry, Rita always wanders by us with really amazing shoes because Rita knows how to fit the dopamine hit for the shoes in.
They
Oh
are
my God.
fab. I have to
They
say.
are fabulous.
Yes.
I
Just
was like,
stick
kind of
them
like
on
a
the
camera
camera
there
to
to
be
the
able to get
camera.
it.
Oh.
Too fat for this. Sorry.
Perfect.
I don't have that Olympic control of yoga move.
You're not gonna be
High
like,
kicks.
put your. Yeah, we're not the high kick club here.
No.
I need something there. I want to throw my leg over. Is what I need.
Wow,
Speaking of dopamine hits.
right?
Wait, did that sound sexual?
Yes.
Yes.
You
But
forget,
delightful.
you
So
forget who you're talking to.
I feel very sad. I need someone to put my legs on. You just roll
But
up
there's
your legs
something to be
over.
said about that of sitting together on the couch and he's sitting this back upright and you swing over sideways and you put your legs over his lap.
Yeah.
And there's really nothing sexual about it other
Wrong.
than just, well,
But
sometimes
the
there
cuddling,
is.
sometimes it's just cuddling.
Sometimes it's just cuddling.
Yeah.
It's being comfortable enough with a person that you can use them as furniture,
Yes.
Yes.
and they enjoy that you do that,
Right.
Mhm.
and you don't. Yeah.
It's the level of intimacy that isn't the let's go get naked in bed together kind of intimacy, because that's important, but the other is important too.
Yes.
So I feel comfortable touching you.
And permission to touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's huge.
Yeah.
It is. Speaking of things shopping for.
Right.
So
Well, there were
don't make decisions when you're stressed and tired. This falls under that.
right.
Yeah.
Well, I actually have people who I have negotiated with. If I'm in a stressful situation and they're there, I get to go and put my hands in their hair
Mm-hmm.
because that's like that's it. I don't want
calms
to
you
do
down.
anything with it.
Yeah.
But, like they have curly hair and I can just do
You just want to
this,
play.
and
I see what you're
tactile
saying.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
it's and like I don't mean anything by it. It's just I'm nervous and I'm in a situation where I can't show that physically in another because I don't feel.
Me notice I'm always like,
Mhm.
I have my this is a silk velvet.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here
Yeah.
petting myself.
But like if they're there, they're sitting down. I will just go and like run my fingers through their hair.
I'd rather pet a furry guy, but I'll go
Yeah.
for the silk velvet. So
They're all men. I'll be honest.
It's
They're all men.
Mhm.
But they there's no interest there beyond
no, but
that.
it's
But they're a
totally makes
comfortable
sense.
person,
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
and they're willing to be that comfort object, and that's exactly what they are.
There's an element of
It's
safety.
so much better than mac and cheese. I mean, in
So
terms
much
of
better for
comfort
you.
things, but you know,
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, comfort
But you know what?
things take
Sometimes the mac
many-
and cheese is a better choice for you overall.
It's better.
Decisions when tired. So
Oh my gosh! Again.
yeah, I know. Saw that.
You never,
Yeah.
you never go shopping when you're hungry.
Never go shopping when you're hungry.
And you never make
And that
decisions.
applies in all contexts of that phrase.
Yes.
So-
And you never make major decisions when you're under a lot of stress, very tired, grieving,
or drunk.
or drunk.
Mhm.
Well, any kind of altered state
Altered
of mind.
state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that includes super happy because happy stress
Yes.
is still stress.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Like there was a moment where last year where I'm like everything is perfect and wonderful, and I was on this like massive dopamine serotonin high,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I'm like I'm not making any decisions for 6 weeks.
Nope.
Because I know that I will make no good decisions right now.
Yeah. You can't think clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I knew that, and I'm very glad, and I hit the points where I'm like I am so down.
Mhm.
I will not be making decisions right
No.
now.
Yeah.
Because any decision I make right now, it might be the right one, but it will not be made in a place where I'm actually
It won't
okay
be
to make
clear.
that decision.
It won't be a clear
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah.
So with clear thinking. So
Oh,
I hate
Yeah.
that part. So,
but it's something that I think we've learned with age and experience, and the other thing that's good too is to sometimes have that accountability partner, someone that you can talk to about it and run things by them before you make that post in public or go buy that thing. And
well,
sometimes
that's what my problem is.
and sometimes there'll be a bad influence.
Oh no,
Be
it's
like,
not the
you
bad
should
influence
totally do
part.
that.
It's just like there is no other influence to cut you anyway.
Yeah. Well, there have been times when I have messaged both you and your things that you have to talk me out this. You're like, why? Here's all the reasons you should do it. I'm like, no, you don't. This is not what I asked for. I asked you to tell me not
I'm
to
the
do
very
this.
last person to check you to remove permission because I tend to offer permission to all kinds of behaviors.
Mhm.
So
But you know what? You've done that to me. And one of my issues is the fact that I spent so long trying to erase myself
yeah,
that having somebody else give me permission is incredibly liberating, and it enables me to sometimes do things that I'm very happy later I did.
Yeah.
But at the time I got stuck and I couldn't make a decision. I couldn't. Yeah. So
Yeah, it was
having
like-
the permission is
it's
good
like
too.
here's a pile of outrage. It's
Mhm.
yours. Go express it. So,
You have permission to take up space.
that was a big one, especially with you. It was really
God.
fascinating watching eke out that you could.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and part of it's like, so I can spread. Okay, now I want to make everything comfortable for me.
Yes.
Like it's not just I don't want to create a space where I'm still living in this little tiny spot.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
filled all the rest of it with stuff that I
Yeah.
don't like.
well, part of it too
Right.
is that you're so used to living in small spaces that you create small spaces to put things
Mhm.
in, even though you have an expansive space. So you create small spaces where all this stuff lives that could be spread out now.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you create another small space. Then you have a desk full of filled small spaces.
Right. And covered in toys.
And covered in toys. but it's still, I mean, it's interesting because my mother did the same thing. My mother had space, but could not conceptualize it as one big space. It had to be a bunch of little small spaces
If
because
it's
that's what
if
her
it's
vision
one
was.
if it's one big space, there's too much for me to see,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I
So
can't.
you make little
I make
focus
little
spots.
yeah.
And then you look in later, you step back and go, "Why it's so cluttered? I can't work."
Mhm.
Right.
And then I go through and change it all because half of what I enjoy is like, okay, I made all this. Okay, we're gonna make it all together.
Yeah, I've actually had to learn not to move the furniture every so often because I like doing it. I like being able to be like, okay, what does it look like if I put the couch over there, or these chairs there, and whatever. But it drives my poor husband crazy, so try not to.
I like to make spaces functional for how we're using them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And as it changes, to remember that you can change them for how you use them. So
Yeah.
So
Well, ladies, have we got any announcements for this upcoming Friday?
um,
I'm gonna take that as a no.
No, I don't think we do. 'Cause we
we're in week
released-
off this week.
Yeah,
This is the week off this
we
week. Yep.
we had a release last
Trying to
week.
figure out what's
Okay,
going on
Freaking
Friday.
Robots.
And immediately zoomed to number one in this category.
Yay!
Yay.
Yay.
We've got Noir is number 3.
And Noir 3 comes out
The
next
Brunette
week.
is
So.
coming out next week.
Yes.
Mhm.
So all 3 of our lovely Pinot Noir ladies will be out,
Very excited for that.
which is very cool.
We're actually, I'm in the process of getting a lot of our stuff over draft digital, so they can be ordered in
Yeah.
places that aren't Amazon. They can also be ordered through Amazon. They will be
Yes, we're
available on
not. We're
Amazon.
in addition to Amazon.
Right.
We're doing other things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm moving stuff slowly but surely. It is a process. So everybody, if you have not gotten your invitation yet, it's okay.
It's a little bit at a time because we have so much going on.
It's completely overwhelming, and it's actually taking a back burner for a couple of days
Yes,
to getting my personal stuff.
Yeah.
And we have a nice little lull here where we have some time to do other things.
Yeah.
Which I've been doing all day, other things, because I needed to not be in the press space today. Which I have to remind myself that I'm allowed to not be in the press 24 hours a day.
You should. You need that boundary. We all do. We need to do other things. Like me with the
Yeah.
garden right now, and I'm gonna sign off from this and go plant blackberries because
Yeah.
I have bare root blackberries, so they must go in the ground. It's
Yes.
not
Yes.
optional.
And
I
the
will be
snow
so-
has melted because it
Yes.
snowed here last night.
Yes.
And I'll be shopping for pink fabric, so I can.
Yes,
I could
because
have
she's
my-
damaged.
I'm
The
damaged.
girl's winged. So
Went for an MRI this morning. I'll have results in a couple of weeks. But I'm supposed to be wearing a
a
sling.
sling on her arm, which we've been making her
You're making me
slings
pretty ones.
because medical ones are boring.
Yes.
So I mean, people would wear these things if they were actually cool looking, right? So
Right.
Anyway, so we'll join you in live chat. This is actually pre-recorded, obviously. But
Would it be good to say that right up front?
right, I mean, hello, obvious. But it may only be Cedar because I don't know if I'll be back yet. And you'll be on a plane,
I'll be on a plane.
Right,
I might
right.
be off plane by then. We'll see.
maybe.
Yeah,
But
we'll see. If it, I will be in the chat chatting with whoever is here. So we'll see you then.
okay,
All right. Thanks,
Kate.
folks.
Oh, and if you want to support the blanket fort, this is our Ko-Fi link.
And also our end card for end the recording here.